I am DYANAROZAY, and I bring a unique commentary to your favorite reality TV shows and whatever is popping on social media. If you are not a subscriber, please become one. Hit that notification bell too, that way you don't miss any of my videos. I go by DYANAROZAY on all platforms, and I appreciate every single one of y'all for rocking with me. What's up, fam bam? It's your girl, DYANAROZAY. I'm here to bring y'all the latest on Beyond the Gates. Y'all know I've been reviewing and recapping this show for the last couple of days. If you missed my prior recaps, you can see the playlist. Check it out. It is in the description box. But y'all, this is a great show, okay? So we're going to get into it. Child, Miss Lesile has threatened to disappear Shanice for messing with her Teddy Grams. And I'm going to tell y'all all about it and then some, okay? We're going to start first, though, with the matriarch, Miss Anita Dupree. Y'all, she is going through it. You know, this woman has had an amazing life, had a beautiful singing career, is rich beyond rich over there at Fairmont Crest, Beyond the Gates, husband, politician, just, you know, a pillar of the community. Anyway, she's going through this horrible thing and she is facing her own mortality. And she has asked her good friend to accompany her on her chemo appointment, even though her husband promised her that he was always going to go with her. Vernon said, I don't want you to do this by yourself. And he believes that he needs to be at her side every time she moves around the house. You know what I'm saying? But Anita tells him to sit this one out. She has some stuff that she needs to get out with her friend. And even though he doesn't want to, he lets her, he gives her, you know, a few tokens to take with her on chemo. So she won't be so lonely. She can remember the family, things like that. Anyway, Anita gets to chemo and she tells her friend Sharon she needs to have a real conversation about what she's facing because her family refuses to let her speak about the what ifs of her treatment, right? What if she doesn't make it? What if treatment doesn't work? And Sharon lets her talk. And this is where Anita tells her that she's been planning her own funeral behind Vernon's back. She said that she's scared that if she passes away, this would be too much for Vernon to handle. She even said, hell, Vernon might leave the earth 30 minutes behind her from a broken heart. Okay. And we know people that's done that in real life. I know I do, child. This does happen. So she said she doesn't want his life to be stopped short because of her. She wants to take as much off of his plate as possible. Anyway, although Anita's family does mean well, her being so strong for them all of the time is too much for her to handle. And sure enough, y'all, when she returns home from chemo, she is all smiles. She's assuring Vernon that chemo was like a trip to the spa. You know what I'm saying? Everything was good. And, you know, Sharon was singing to me and all the stuff. And then while she's talking mid-sentence, her eyes roll up into the back of her head and she passed out, which scared the pants off of both Vernon and Sharon. But really, she got a lot of poison going through those veins. And the doctors tell you to take it easy and to make sure that, you know, you are getting the rest that you need. So if she's not doing it on her own, nature's going to take care of it for her. But y'all tell me what y'all thought of that scene. That was tough. Ooh-wee, let's talk about Bill Hamilton. Y'all, it is the next day after that very passionate kiss that he shared with his ex-wife in his office. And now this man is sitting there and daydreaming about bending Danny over his desk and rocking her world, okay? He was so into it that he actually stood up out of his chair, walked around to the front of his desk, where he was imagining all of this going down in his head. All right. And that is when Thomas comes walking in behind him and he starts calling Bill's name several times before Bill actually recognizes it, right? Right before Bill was about to start gyrating them hips, probably. But Bill finally comes out of it. He recognizes that Tomas is calling him and it's not Danny like he was imagining. And this shook this man, okay? He probably wanted to call a 5150 in on himself because, yeah, that was crazy, Bill. But anyway, Tomas He asked him if it was okay, and Bill says yes. And then Tomas tries to quickly reassure Bill that he won't repeat anything he sees or hears when it comes to him, his boss, right? Y'all know that Tomas accidentally walked in on Danny and Bill kissing, and he also knows that Bill saw him do it. So he wants to just, let me just get this out the way quite fast and in a hurry. Bill says, that's good to know. And then he promotes Tomas to junior partner and told him that he was going to be making a lot more money. And then he dangled the carrot of more to come as long as he keeps his mouth shut, right? So I ain't promising anything, but there's more to come if you can do what I want you to do. And we know Tomas, like I said, is very ambitious. He wants to be Bill's right-hand man, but that's going to come with a steep price. And I hope that he knows it. First off, he's not going to be able to continue that relationship with Kat, period. I know he said that's his dream woman, but Kat is not down for that type of ride or die life. Not to mention, she likes to play Inspector Gadget. So this is one of the things he is going to have to consider and, move it on out if he really wants to be Bill's right-hand man. But yeah, let's talk about Danny at the country club with her good Judy Pamela. So y'all, Danny meets up with Pamela for lunch, and she lets Pamela in on the fact that she kissed Bill, and not no little kiss either. You know what I'm saying? It was a romantic kiss. Anyway, I guess Danny needed to be sobered up from her daydream of rekindling things with Bill, because Pamela hates the air that Bill breathes. She can't stand him for a minute. And there's no way in hell that she's going to encourage this in any way, shape, or form. In fact, Pamela reminds Danny who Bill actually is and all of the hurtful things that this man did and continues to do. Okay, she had to run the list. First up, girl, you gave up your career for this man when you were at the height of your game so that you could support him and what he had going on. You were also acting out of character, rolling up with a pow pow at his wedding, threatening to blow his brains out. The gun actually discharges, and it was just pure luck that it didn't hit anybody, girl. Do I have to remind you of that? And let's not forget how he embarrassed your ass all around town by even marrying that woman, your daughter's BFF, someone that you helped when they were down and out on their luck. You had that woman working in his office because you thought that he would see her as his daughter, just like you saw her as your daughter. So go on ahead and get your damn head out the clouds and the lust out of your loins, okay? You're too old to fall backwards like this. Period. So anyway, that speech, which I did add to, baby, because we got to keep these people together. But that speech did take the wind out of Danny's sails, okay? Even though she needed to hear it. Danny knows she sounded like a damn fool too, because after she got that sobering speech, she realizes that there couldn't be a happily ever after. At least she doesn't want Pamela to think that that's what she's thinking. So Danny tries to pretend like she has good sense. And I do mean pretend. She starts talking about how much she loves her husband, Andre, and how she knows better than to break his heart or to hurt him. And then she tries to make it seem like it was her who was actually playing Bill and not Bill who's playing her. Girl, goodbye. Anyway, Danny's full of it. We all know it. She's going back for seconds as soon as the opportunity presents itself, because the heart wants what the heart wants. And she's just, saying what she needs to say to get Pamela off her ass. It won't be long before she stops telling Pamela anything, because that's just how it plays out for real, okay? So let's move on. Let's talk about Miss Lesile and Shanice. So look, Leslie gets word from her daughter Eva that Ted, her baby daddy, has a girlfriend and that she needed to move on. After she hears that, Leslie took off like a rocket to the hospital to confront Shanice, who was already warned to back off by Leslie a few episodes ago. Okay. She told her, go on ahead and forget about this one. Find you somebody else. Ted belongs to me. Now, as y'all can imagine, Miss Shanice was flitting around that damn hospital with a glow like a light bulb, okay? She could have kept the whole hospital running like a generator if any of the power would have went out, okay? Because y'all know Ted had gave her that thing just that night before. So she was feeling herself, and as soon as Leslie walked in the door, she saw it. She knew exactly what it was, child. And she told Shanice that Ted only sees her as something to bounce on. Don't get too stuck on him, child, because you ain't never going to have that connection that I have with him. And then she reminds Shanice that she shares a child with Ted. Mind you, this child is grown as hell. She got to be like mid-20s, okay? 25, 26 years old. Not to mention that Ted does have 2 other grown children with his ex-wife. Either way, Leslie thinks she's the only one. And Shanice was sitting there staring at Leslie like she was crazy, okay? In fact, she actually tells Leslie to take her nutty ass on somewhere before she calls the 9th floor and have them take her to the psych ward. And she wasn't playing around either. I think she might have picked up the phone and put her fingers on the numbers, okay? Either way, Leslie looks at her and she knows she's serious, so she starts walking off, but not before telling her that she'll make her disappear forever. So she does threaten her. I will make you disappear forever. Then she hit that elevator button and she went on down like she was supposed to. Shanice didn't seem too scared about it because this is what she wants, okay? Ted is what she wants. Having, a better position over there at Fairmount Crest is what she wants. Dinner at the country club on a regular basis is what she wants. And she damn sure is going to fight to keep it. So, this is going to be juicy. I cannot wait to see the matchup between Shanice and Leslie. In fact, I think out of all the people, I think that Leslie might have met her match. Okay. Shanice wants that man and she wants her family. Okay. So y'all talk to me about that. Let me know what y'all think. And we are moving on to Ashley and Derek. Listen, their storyline took me a long time to get into because every time I turn around, they was swapping spit. It was it was too much for me. But now I am into it a little more. That's probably why I can review them, because when I first started talking about it, thinking about reviewing them again, I was like, I'm going to leave them off the table because they bore me. But anyway, Derek is a firefighter and he is lightweight stalking his ex-girlfriend, Ashley. If he's not stalking her, then he is stalking the men that he sees Ashley around. Hell, he even stalks her girlfriends and her mama. It doesn't matter. He always wants to know what this girl got going on. And right now, she has a friend with benefits by the name of Grayson. And Derek walked in and saw Grayson and Ashley kikiing in each other's face. Grayson gets on the elevator, and when I tell you that man stayed on the elevator so he can give him 101 questions before they got down to the first floor. Either way, after doing all of that, he decides he's going to go and manipulate Ashley's mother, Jan, by giving her all kinds of information about how Ashley's out here sleeping around and doing whatever, right? Jan doesn't like that. She wants her daughter to be a good, wholesome girl who, thinks it through, and she has to be dating and with the promise of a ring on her finger before she gives it out, okay? She don't like it. He knows that. And so that's why he told her about it. Ashley's very close to her mother. She tells her everything, period. Y'all know there's those girls. I had a friend. I have a friend who used to tell her mother everything. Every night they talked to each other for hours, several times a day. And then they ended the night talking to each other, she would be telling her mama all her business. Anyway, well, that's what Ashley is reminding me of, that type of relationship. Long story short, Ashley didn't tell her mama about Grayson, though. She didn't tell her about Grayson because she knows that her mother wouldn't approve. And right now, this is something she needs for her ego, especially after being turned down by someone she thought she was in love with, Andre, and this crabby ass, horrible ass Derek. Derek is just a terrible person. But Ashley did not tell her mother about Grayson, and Jan ends up going to lunch and talking to her BFF Mona about what Derek told her about her daughter having a friend with benefits. And when she finished telling the story, Mona says, well, what the hell is Derek telling you that for, right? Derek is way too involved in her business. And this is exactly what Mona needed to tell her. Mona isn't lying. Now, Ashley and Derek weren't ready to get married to each other for sure, but Derek pretended like he couldn't walk and making Ashley wait hand and foot on him for months was way too Norman Bates-ish, okay? He is Norman Bates cuckoo, and we ain't gonna pretend like that ain't true. But he's a manipulator. He's manipulating her mama. He's manipulating the people around him. And while that conversation is happening with Jan and her mother, we see Ash having lunch with Grayson, and here comes Derek over to the table, knowing damn well he wasn't welcome. Both Ashley and Grayson is giving him the stank face. He ignores it completely until Grayson ends up being chased away. Oh, so we get to see how kooky this man is, child. There's always one or two. But yeah, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. This is where it ended. And tomorrow we'll get to see what happens. And I'll come back with more tea on Beyond the Gates. Okay. I also want to say, y'all know I live in Atlanta. And right now we are having that ice storm. Child, there was a whole lot of ice outside when I woke up this morning. It might be melting a little bit now. But I do want to say, if you guys, all right, here it is. Make sure you guys are following me on all my platforms at DYANAROZAY. Hit my like button, share the video. I appreciate every single one of y'all for rocking with me, and I'll check you on the next one. Bye-bye.